Okay, the last story from this week that was really powerful, and it's big, and so it's hard to share, but it's wonderful. Okay, I mean it's sad, but all right, work with me. So there's a guy who came here from Oklahoma with his wife. I want to say it was Tuesday, and she had tongue cancer, which is rare, and she got it from her dental work. So she had fillings that caused a problem. And it's a beautiful story, but it's so sad. Okay, so they were atheists for 16 years. And in this process of learning about, studying about so many things for cancer, he started also looking into spiritual things. And he did, it's summed up in, there's this book that my sister and some friends love so much, and it's called A Severe Mercy. And I basically met the couple from that book. It's not the couple, but it's the same story. They were atheists and came to know the Lord. Even just like a year ago, they came to know the Lord. And when she got tongue cancer, things started going quickly and progressively, and they did well with doing some natural remedy, not natural remedies, it sounds like they drank lemon water, but they did things at home, and they had progress, and then it would go down, and progress, and then it went down. And one thing led to another, and they had to get a surgery done, but then complications from the surgery, and then in February she had a biopsy, and after the biopsy everything just started going downhill. So, but when she had her surgery and had her tongue removed, and there are stories within that where they were talking about they were going to have to take more, but they only had to take that, and they were praying very hard for that, and they just saw God's faithfulness throughout, and it encouraged their faith, and it helped them see God's hand in what was happening. And through that process, they came to know the Lord. They helped people. They were able to minister through their pain, in their pain. Were able to encourage his partner at work and their marriage, and just they were really encouraged in the midst of it. So she had her tongue removed, and so they couldn't speak, and so they would text back and forth to write. Oh, I need to shut this door. Hang on. They would text back and forth, but then they got a journal, and they would every night write to each other back and forth in this journal to talk. And it's so beautiful. So now he has that as like a treasure. And one of the entries in his journal was his wife writing to him to say that no matter what happens with me and this diagnosis, don't let it knock your faith. Don't let it rob what we have seen God so faithfully do, and what we know to be true. And oh my gosh, yesterday was the day after she passed away. So she passed away. Oh, and it's so Saturday night we were supposed to have a Mexican fiesta, and we were all looking forward to it. But it was canceled because I think the cook was sick or something like that. He wasn't feeling well up to doing a big buffet type thing. So it was canceled. But it was actually, I'm so grateful, because we were disappointed that it was canceled because we were all looking forward to it. But Sunday morning we learned this guy's story and his wife. And she had passed away that night. And so the atmosphere of a fiesta in the midst of your deepest pain, I'm so grateful it was canceled. But we got to meet him and spend the day with him, and he came to church with us, and just to see him process the grief of losing his wife so beautifully and faithfully, and oh my gosh, it was beautiful. And he was so encouraged. God had provided so much comfort for him. We were talking about they had just made it here, but she didn't make it, and there was a woman in the car at the border who came over with them, who was the wife of one of the patients who was already here. And that woman she is deeply compassionate. She's a very sweet soul, and she got to meet this couple on the way in. And she had reached out. The guy was at the clinic whose wife was coming to visit for 3 weeks, and she was there at the beginning, and she was coming at the end, but she's coming for the weekend. And so she arrived a little bit early because she's like, I want to come, and she could work from, the clinic here. And so she came on whatever day that was, Tuesday. But and they just left this morning. But so she got to meet them, and that was just the beginning of God's provision. I mean, not even the beginning, but like on this end of the trip, of God's provision for that couple and this man who had just lost his wife. Just, there's so many stories. Like, right before Jesus came to take her home, he was sharing this with us at breakfast and throughout the day, just different stories of God's faithfulness. But he was saying, I wonder what it would be like, if he came and got her right now, like what that would be like. And he said he's sat there. He says, I'm in my thoughts a lot because, his wife isn't able to speak. And so they bonded over music. He was the one who had one of the guitars. He thought, what would it be like? And she was suffering so much, and he was really feeling the pain of her suffering, and it was very difficult. And they were here, but it's hard when you come at the very end. But he envisioned Jesus coming through the wall and telling her that it was time to go home, and taking her hand. And shortly after that, she passed away. And it just like ministered to all of us, like, oh my goodness. And then the patient's wife, who was with them as they were coming, was able to comfort him, go to them. There's a guy here who's kind of like the minister of the place, but he's not necessarily connected to Hope4Cancer, but he's with a ministry, and he's closely connected through his ministry with this group. He came, and just the amazing support, emotional, spiritual, physical support that he was able to receive yesterday, and we were able to be a part of, and to see him, process it and be so blessed, and to be a part of that blessing, for God to give us words, to give us, the presence, and that he was there. It almost, you could think of it as like, why he's here and he's by himself, but he had more support from people who understood what he was going through on a level that nobody else really could. He was surrounded by people who understood what he was going through. And maybe not to have lost a spouse in that situation, but people who have cancer, who have been on the journey of fighting cancer, who understand, the race, the journey of, and Christians, many Christians, and many of us, we learned, I guess, I don't know, I knew some people were Christians and different people prayed and stuff like that, but boy, did we bind together yesterday. It was such a blessing. And so he let me borrow his guitar, and I got to practice my songs that I really wanted to learn, and I had the opportunity of playing them in the afternoon, and he was with me. I was with him, more or less. We were in the dining hall because he brought it with him to lunch. And that night, with the worship night, I was able to play, but I get really nervous. And he sat and because I had the words on my phone, he scrolled the words so that I could play and sing the songs that were on my heart. And he helped me, and he was very it was so to be ministered to somebody in the midst of their greatest trial. It takes my breath away. It is wow, that is so huge. I can't really put words to it. Just all of us, just story after story, different people that we heard, who are in some way connected to it throughout the day yesterday. And it was powerful. It was a powerful day. So he's here, and he's spending time with the minister guy and making preparations, but he's being ministered to in a powerful way while he's here. So just praising God for provision and how he's faithful and how he knows, and his ways are not our ways, and our plans are surrendered to him, and he knows what's best. And boy, he got a lot of glory yesterday. It's powerful.